There is an ancient philosophy that has quietly endured for more than 2,000 years. It was born in a time of political unrest and social upheaval, yet it speaks not of conquest, wealth, or power. Instead, it invites us to slow down, to observe the world around us, and to rediscover a way of living that feels both simple and deeply profound. This philosophy is known as Taoism. At first glance, its teachings can seem almost paradoxical. It suggests that strength can be found in gentleness, that wisdom often lies in simplicity, and that the more desperately we try to control life, the further peace slips from our grasp. Look closely at nature, and you begin to see why. A river never forces its way through a mountain, yet over time it shapes the landscape. Trees bend with the wind instead of resisting it. The seasons arrive without haste, each unfolding in its own time. Nature achieves extraordinary things without struggle. The Taoists believe that human beings are no different. Much of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from our constant resistance to it, from chasing, forcing, and clinging to what we cannot control. In this documentary, we'll explore the origins of Taoism, the mysterious sage known as Lao Tsu, the meaning of the Tao, the principle of Wu Wei, the balance of Yin and Yang, and why this ancient philosophy continues to offer timeless wisdom in our fast-paced modern world. This is The Art of Effortless Living. To understand Taoism, we must first travel back more than 2,500 years to ancient China. The authority of the Zhou dynasty was beginning to weaken, and the country was becoming increasingly divided. Powerful states competed for land and influence, while political instability and conflict disrupted everyday life. As society struggled to find order, many began searching for a better way to live. It was during this period that some of China's greatest philosophical traditions emerged. Confucius taught that harmony could be restored through morality, education, and social responsibility. But another voice offered a very different perspective. According to tradition, that voice belonged to a man named Lao Tsu, whose name simply means old master. Very little is known about his life. Some historians believe he was a real person who served as a keeper of the imperial archives. Others argue that he may be a legendary figure, or perhaps a symbol representing the wisdom of many teachers rather than a single individual. The most famous story tells of Lao Tsu leaving society behind. Disillusioned by the corruption and chaos of his time, he journeyed west on the back of a water buffalo toward the distant mountains. Before allowing him to pass, a border guard recognized his wisdom and asked him to record his teachings so they would not be lost. Lao Tsu agreed. The result was a short collection of around 5,000 Chinese characters, divided into 81 brief chapters. It became known as the Tao Te Ching, one of the most influential philosophical works ever written. Unlike many philosophical texts, it offers no detailed system of rules. Instead, it speaks through simple observations, paradoxes, and poetic imagery, inviting the reader to reflect rather than obey. More than 2,000 years later, the quiet wisdom of the Tao Te Ching continues to inspire millions around the world, laying the foundation for one of history's most enduring philosophies. At the heart of Taoism lies a single word: Tao. It is usually translated as the way, but that translation only hints at its meaning. The Tao is not a god to be worshipped, nor is it a set of rules to follow. It is the invisible principle that underlies everything, the natural order through which the universe unfolds. It is the rhythm behind the changing seasons, the flowing of rivers, the growth of forests, and the endless cycle of birth, life, and death. The Taoists believe that everything in nature follows the Tao effortlessly. A seed becomes a tree without instruction. Birds migrate without maps. Rivers never question which direction to flow. Nature simply follows its own course. Human beings, however, often do the opposite. We worry about the future, regret the past, and constantly try to force life into our own plans. We chase success, resist change, and cling to things that cannot last. In doing so, we separate ourselves from the natural rhythm that surrounds us. One of the opening lines of the Tao Te Ching captures this mystery perfectly. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. In other words, the Tao cannot truly be defined. The moment we try to describe it, we reduce something that is far greater than words. Like trying to explain music to someone who has never heard a melody, the experience itself is more important than the explanation. Rather than offering clear definitions, Taoism encourages us to observe. Watch the clouds drift across the sky. Listen to water flowing around rocks. Notice how every season arrives in its own time without rushing or hesitation. These are not merely beautiful sights. To the Taoists, they are lessons. The universe is constantly moving in harmony with itself. The question is not whether we can control that movement, but whether we can learn to move with it. And that idea leads us to the central practice of Taoism, Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. If the Tao is the way, then Wu Wei is how we learn to walk it. Often translated as effortless action or non-doing, Wu Wei is perhaps the most misunderstood idea in Taoism. At first glance, it sounds like an invitation to do nothing, to avoid responsibility, or simply let life happen. But that is not what it means. Wu Wei is not about inaction. It is about acting without unnecessary force. It is the ability to respond naturally at the right moment, without struggling against the flow of life. Imagine a skilled surfer. They do not fight the ocean or try to overpower the waves. Instead, they observe, wait, and move with the water. By working with nature rather than against it, they achieve what force alone never could. The Taoists believed life should be approached in much the same way. When we constantly force outcomes, push against circumstances, or cling to rigid expectations, we often create the very obstacles we are trying to overcome. But when we remain flexible, patient, and attentive, our actions become more effective and far less exhausting. Nature offers countless examples. Water is soft, yet over time it can wear away solid rock. Bamboo bends in the strongest winds, while rigid trees are more likely to break. Neither succeeds through brute strength. Their power lies in their ability to adapt. Wu Wei does not ask us to become passive. There are moments to act decisively, moments to wait patiently, and moments to let go completely. Wisdom lies in knowing which is required. In our modern world, where we are encouraged to be constantly busy, productive, and in control, this idea can feel almost revolutionary. Perhaps true success is not found in always doing more. Perhaps it comes from learning when to stop pushing, trust the process, and allow life to unfold as it naturally does. For the Taoists, this was not weakness. It was one of the highest forms of wisdom. Few symbols are more recognizable than the black and white circle of Yin and Yang. Today, it appears on clothing, jewelry, and artwork around the world. Yet despite its popularity, it is often misunderstood. Many people think it represents the battle between good and evil. In Taoism, Yin and Yang are not enemies. They are complementary forces that exist together, each giving meaning to the other. Without darkness, we could not recognize light. Yin is often associated with qualities such as stillness, softness, darkness, and receptivity. Yang represents activity, brightness, strength, and movement. Neither is superior, and neither can exist alone. Look closely at the symbol itself. Within the black half is a white dot, and within the white half is a black dot. This reminds us that nothing is ever completely one thing. Every strength carries a weakness. Every hardship contains the possibility of growth. Even the brightest day slowly gives way to night. Nature follows this rhythm effortlessly. The tides rise and fall. The seasons change. Day becomes night, and winter gives way to spring. Life is not static. It is a continuous dance of opposing forces moving in harmony. The Taoists believed that suffering often begins when we try to cling to one side while rejecting the other. We want happiness without sadness, success without failure, youth without aging, but life has never worked that way. Instead of resisting these natural cycles, Taoism encourages us to accept them. Balance is not achieved by eliminating one opposite, but by understanding that both are necessary. In the end, Yin and Yang remind us of one of Taoism's deepest truths. Life is not about choosing one side over the other. It is about learning to live in harmony with both. One of the most surprising teachings of Taoism is that a good life is not built by constantly acquiring more. More wealth, more possessions, more recognition, more success. The Taoists believed that the endless pursuit of more often leaves us with less peace, less contentment, and less freedom. This does not mean that ambition or achievement are wrong. Rather, Taoism asks us to question whether our desires truly serve us, or whether they quietly become the source of our unhappiness. The Tao Te Ching repeatedly praises simplicity, humility, and moderation. Lao Tsu observed that nature never wastes. A tree takes only what it needs to grow. A river does not compete with another river. Every living thing follows its own path without comparing itself to others. Human beings, however, often become trapped in comparison. We measure our success against our neighbors, our colleagues, or even strangers on the internet. We chase status, approval, and possessions, believing that the next achievement will finally bring lasting satisfaction. Yet the finish line keeps moving. Taoism invites us to step off that endless race. It teaches that contentment does not come from having everything we want, but from learning to appreciate what we already have. By letting go of unnecessary desires, we make space for clarity, gratitude, and inner peace. This does not require abandoning society or living in isolation. It simply means recognizing that our value is not determined by what we own, how much we earn, or how others perceive us. For the Taoists, the richest person was not the one who possessed the most, but the one who needed the least. In a world driven by constant consumption and endless comparison, that lesson may be more relevant today than ever before. Although Taoism was born more than 2,000 years ago, its wisdom feels remarkably relevant today. We live in a world of constant notifications, endless deadlines, and relentless competition. We are encouraged to stay busy, think faster, produce more, and always strive for the next achievement. Yet despite all our progress, many people feel overwhelmed, anxious, and disconnected. The Taoists would likely say that we have forgotten how to live in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. Their philosophy does not reject work, ambition, or technology. Instead, it reminds us that these things should serve our lives, not consume them. When faced with uncertainty, Taoism encourages patience rather than panic. When confronted by conflict, it favors understanding over aggression. When life changes unexpectedly, It teaches us to adapt rather than resist. These ideas can be applied in the smallest moments of everyday life. Instead of trying to control every outcome, we can focus on responding wisely to whatever happens. Instead of constantly comparing ourselves to others, we can follow our own path. Instead of filling every quiet moment with distraction, we can learn to appreciate stillness. This is not about escaping the modern world. It is about moving through it with greater clarity, balance, and peace. The challenges of life have changed since the time of Lao Tsu, but human nature has not. We still struggle with fear, desire, uncertainty, and the illusion that happiness always lies somewhere ahead. Taoism offers a gentle reminder that perhaps we have been searching in the wrong direction. Sometimes, the wisest path forward is not to force life to become what we want, but to learn how to move gracefully with the life that is already unfolding before us. If today's exploration resonated with you, we highly recommend the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tsu. For more than 2,000 years, this remarkable text has inspired readers with its timeless reflections on simplicity, balance, and living in harmony with the natural flow of life. You'll find a link to the book in the description and in the pinned comment. You can also explore more philosophy and psychology books through our bookshop page. If you'd like to continue exploring the world's greatest philosophical traditions, consider subscribing for more documentaries on philosophy, psychology, history, and the timeless ideas that continue to shape the human experience. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.